So I thought I'd reshoot my video for the last few days. Now I've got the new phone. Not a lot's gone on. We've had serious rain in Shropshire, and it's been really, really muddy. I mean, the plot has been like the Somme. It's been the worst I've seen it for years. One of the plot holders told me that he read somewhere that we've had the worst rainfall for spring for 33 years. Well, I'm 34, so it'll just go to show that I've not seen anything like it. It was constantly drizzling for weeks. And what with all the snow and everything we'd had in the end of the winter, it just meant that the ground was just saturated. And I will cut to some of the old footage now, and you can see for yourself what it's like. It was just wet underfoot. It was wet under the greenhouse. It was just boggy, and I've put barrows loads of bark on various parts of the path just to make them raise them up basically out of the mud. At one point the chicken run even had a massive puddle in it where they dug a hole after worms, and then that filled up with water. But they're all good now. I've put some old wooden sheeting down, and I've covered it with bark, so they're perfect, and they have been. They haven't had any problems. But other than that, we can't get anything done in regard to planting out or sowing potatoes, which you'd normally start doing now, it being Easter, just because the ground is so wet. I mean, if I put beans in the ground now, they just rot off. It's crazy. And same with potatoes, they wouldn't grow in this. It's ridiculous. So anyway, just not too bad for me, because I was going to grow my potatoes in pots anyway. But I was planning on having the odd row, you know, just to fill up some space. But that probably won't happen now. And I'd also read somewhere or heard on the radio that a farmer from around here, he'd had something like 50% of his fields, he says, were unworkable. And they reckon that there could be, well, not a potato shortage, but the price of potatoes in the UK might go up, just because if the weather continues, and we still get, because we'll forecast more rain tomorrow, so if the weather continues, farmers are going to end up putting their potatoes in late, and then there comes a point where there's no point in planting them, because obviously they need time to grow, and then we get obviously frosts around here, can come in October. So there will come a point when the farmers just decide, you know what, I won't bother sowing potatoes, I'll just grow winter barley or something else, or maize or corn or whatever, something that they can grow over the summer, and in which case obviously potato prices will go up. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Other than sowing things in the greenhouse and looking after the chickens, there's been not a lot really. On the gardening side, I mean, my scooter is ace, and I've had a few adventures on that, which I've wrote blogs about, and great, doing some great things with family. I've got a new job, and everything awesome other things, but gardening wise it's not a lot, I'm afraid, guys. So what I'll do is I'll cut and paste in some of the footage from the last few weeks, you can see from yourself, and then hopefully the next video I do will be a lot better. So until then, guys, speak soon. Hi, so I've come down the plot today and we've got quite a bit of water. It's actually the worst I've ever seen it for water. I know it's probably not terrible compared to some plots I've seen, but it's more than I wanted to see this morning. We've had a hell of a lot of rain here in Shropshire, and I've had the snow that melted, plus we had the burst pipe. So it just seems to have all come in this way. And obviously, I think I said before, there used to be an old stream that ran this way years ago that was piped. So we are in a natural wet spot. My bark normally is perfect. It normally just enough to get you out of the mud. But obviously, there's an exception this year. So I'll spin the camera around and you can see for yourself. You can see how much water we've had just by looking at some of the puddles. I mean, I don't know if you can tell on there, but that's probably, I don't know, 6 inches deep. And it's half full of water. Same all the way around here. This area of the plot here is not too bad. And you can see the bark normally just keeps me out of the water. And you come down this end we're starting to pool a bit. And then obviously I put the chickens where the worst spot was for the water, because there's no chance of growing anything in there. So I built it up by a good 10 or so inches of bark. Probably hear the squelching. And where they've been digging, they've obviously dug down to find the worms. Hello girlies, what are you after? Yeah. And you can see this bit here, this was a brassica bed last year. That's obviously completely full. And then little parts around the plot. Like I said, it's not terrible, but it's the most water I've had for a long time. Well, the chickens have had a little run about. They got some corn and some sprouts as a treat. I've just done a quick fix. I've got a big sheet of plywood. Well, I've got a few actually that, sorry, the sun's in the way. There you go. Big sheet of plywood. I've put it in there. So they've got a hard base now under their feeder and by their water, so they don't need to stand in any mud, which they seem quite happy with. Another example of how much water we've had. I mean, my greenhouse was about 4 years ago, 3 years ago maybe. It was put on a big pile of bark, big thick pile, and then I put some tarp over top of it to stop things growing through. But now look at it. So yeah, that just shows how much water we've had. So I think job for the summer when this dries out is I might get a load of gravel, see if I can fill this greenhouse with gravel. Hi everyone, so these are my two new girlies. I've rescued these girls, well not rescued them, that's the wrong word. I've rehomed them. A lady who has an allotment here as a friend, and they live on a barge on a canal, and their friend's moving to a house or a flat, so they needed somewhere to rehome their chickens. And as you're probably aware, I've always said that chickens have a purpose on my plot and they're all about egg production, and well, I've kind of gone against the rule because they were so nice that these two are exempt from egg production. I promised the lady that I'd look after them, so they're just here to enjoy their retirement on the allotment really, and if they lay they lay, if they don't they don't, and I'm more than happy to feed these two and keep them happy and healthy. So these are the VIPs. Henny and Penny are their names, and it must be my dyslexic brain because I keep getting them confused, but I think I can't remember now. Henny is the Speckledy and Penny is the Black Rock. I think the lady whose chickens they were is going to follow me on Twitter, so I'm sure she'll correct me if I'm wrong. They were very free ranged where they were before. They had a nice big field to go at next to a canal. So they're a little bit wary of me, probably because I'm new, and also probably not used to having someone potter around them. But they're getting there, slowly. Plenty of time. They're having a bit of a quarantine in here. There's nothing, they've come from a really nice home, but it's just something I do. It's my own personal thing that whenever I get new chickens, I like to keep them away from the other chickens for a couple of weeks, just so the chickens can get to know each other. My girlies have been coming up to say hello. These girlies are going to get used to the allotment, and they're not going to get pecked or bullied by my girlies. And then eventually, probably next week, I'll let them out together so they can mingle, and then the week after that they'll start sleeping together. So yeah. Anyway, I best crack on, because as you can see, we've had beasts from the east too. Hi there. You'd be wrong in thinking that this is sweat on my face. It's not. It's rain.
And all I think it's done in the UK for the last few weeks is rain and rain and rain and rain and rain. And we're quite fond of our rain here in the UK. I mean, it keeps the grass green, it keeps the cows nice and tasty, and you know, it's with a green and pleasant land, as the song goes. But it's starting to get a bit of a pain in the bum now.
Hello there. Nice day today. So I didn't film the plot the other day because I got fed up with the rain, so I went home in the end. But it's a lovely day today, so I've popped down for a bit while I can, because I've got a couple of things to do this afternoon. Chickens are out. They've been out now for a good few hours. And I've decided to tidy my sheds. So shed 1 is my junk and tools shed. It's got all my bits and pieces and bottles for making cloches, cardboard for the chicken runs, some seeds, a couple of random tools in there that I keep down here. Apart from a couple of those shovels, they normally go back with me. New shed. Woohoo! New shed is now my sitting in shed, where I can get out of the rain, watch the world go by, have a brew. Hoping to get a stove in here. So this is my view from my new shed. Quite nice actually. It's a good shed. Really happy with it. I'll show you the water. So, as you can see, it's pretty squelchy everywhere. I'm putting down more and more bark. That is a hole that I dug yesterday, just to act as a bit of a, I don't know what it's called, sump soak away. But I intend eventually to dig a massive trench along there to help with the drainage, because as you see, come over to the chicken bit, if you look back there, it just goes all the way down. It's just a nightmare. I mean, the chickens are fine, keeping on top of it. So that's it really. There's not a lot happening, as I've said before, because of the weather. So, can I show you really? Garlic's poking up. Fruit bushes have started to bud. Well, a couple of them have. One of them hasn't. That raspberry cane. And then that blueberry one hasn't either. It started to, and then we had a frost, and I don't know if that's played havoc on it. I don't know. No idea. They're from Poundland, so we'll see. My raspberries that I've moved are okay. They're coming along quite nice. Obviously it's not been too bad for the nettles. I'll give those a squirt before I go. Oh, this is quite interesting. I meant to say this. This is a cabbage stalk that I threw in there in the winter when I cleared the beds. It's started to sprout. You see that? It's taken root and like a cutting. Just goes to show, doesn't it? Sometimes things will grow in anything. So that's it really. Not a lot. Be a short video this half of the month, just down to the weather and not being able to get much done. The girlies are loving the wet though, because they're finding so many worms. It's untrue. They only have to scratch just because I imagine, because it's so wet under the soil, the worms have come up to get out of drowning, I suppose. So they're just scratching an inch and finding a worm. Worm a go. My tulips are coming up. I gotta weed these. I'll do these in a second. And my peas, broccoli. So I've got things growing. Actually opened the greenhouse today because it was warm inside there. So it's coming along. So hopefully this rain holds off now
and we get more of this. There was a couple of people down here this morning, but they've gone since. So I'm going to crack on, then I'm going to go home, guys. So until next time, speak soon. Hi there, everyone. How you doing? I got a new phone. Woohoo! It's great. I just feel so amazed by it. It's like new technology after using my old phone for so long. Brilliant. Anyway, it's got an awesome camera, so I thought I'd test it out and do my first allotment vlog with it, just because I've got to come down and check on the chickens. I was down here yesterday, but I don't want to come down tomorrow because it's forecast bad weather, and I'm supposed to be going out somewhere with the family, so I thought I'd do them 2 days on the bounce, and then that means that I haven't got to worry about them for another 2 days. So anyway, enjoy the footage. So, lovely afternoon today, but it's not been like this, as you can see from around here. And this is better than what it was. There we go. That was just a 1 foot by 1 foot square hole I dug the other day. That filled up within about 5 minutes. That shows how much water there is in the ground around here. I do plan on digging some soakaways the back of the sheds here to help out. These are the new girlies. Proper introduction now on a proper camera. You know, mud up your nose. The chicken seems to be really enjoying it at the moment because the worms are coming up to the surface to get out of the water. So, oi, monkey. Yeah, you know who's boss, don't you? I am boss, not you. Yeah. You might be head girl. She's now pecking my plaster. They love my plasters, look. Watch this. What are you doing? Bless them. You leave my plaster alone. But yeah, she's got a bit of a bee in her bonnet for the one of the new girlies. I think she gets jealous, don't you, Missy? She gets drinking out of a puddle. I have fresh water for them every other day, and yet they always like to drink out of puddles. It must be the chlorine and stuff in the water. Fluoride. You know, the stuff they put in tap water. How you doing? You don't have to make a mess. Look at that. This is an afternoon's worth of scratching around. I don't mind doing it, to be fair. They pick up all the slugs, so I can't complain, can I? So we have the rhubarbs doing well, plus weeds. Marigolds, not so well. Again, these are all started at way in the end of winter, spring. Nasturtium are doing much better. Poppies have gone nuts, and a couple of weeds. There's a couple of weeds because I used the soil that was out of the raised beds and I riddled it. So you're going to get a few weed seedlings like that. You just pull them out. And they are calendula and weeds. And again, you can see the calendula. They're obvious, aren't they, which ones are the calendula. Onions are ready to go out. I'm just waiting for the beds to dry a bit. They shouldn't be too bad in the wet soil, so they will go out probably next week. My leeks are poking through, which is a good thing. And so are some of my onions. They're the long, thin ones.
So I'll show you. I know the difference. Obviously, this is why I've used this compost. That is an onion. That is grass. See how it splits? Same over here. That's an onion. That's grass. Same here. Leek, leek, grass, leek. Anything else will just be weeded out. The garlic in the biodegradable pots is popping along nicely. There's broad beans in there and some peas at the back. I got a pea gutter going on there. See if I can remember now. I've got another video of this. Kale, spring onions, cabbages, lettuce, broccoli, more leeks, sunflowers, 60-day broccoli, spinach, which only one's germinated, but I'll get more of those. And that is more broccoli there. There's some old courgette seeds I've planted. And then here, I won't take the lids off in here, but in there is sweet corn. And sweet corn obviously quite like hot and humid to germinate. So I've put an extra cloth cover on that. It was down to about 3 degrees last night. So it's, you know, if you want them to germinate, you've got to keep them warm. Garlic in there is growing nicely. These are doing all right, but I'm a bit. I don't know whether the frost got to them and they've died back and had to go again. We have got sprouts, shoots, and I swear that blackcurrant is dead. But if any of them don't come to anything, I will just. I've kept the boxes. I'll take the boxes back to Poundland. I'll get my couple of quid refund. They're pretty good like that, Poundland, to be fair. Tulips coming through. So yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. Aren't we, chickens? Aren't we? Don't you peck my new phone. You peck my new phone, you. Monkosaurus. After my plaster. My plaster. Oh, what's this? What's this? What's the plaster? Where's the plaster? Ooh, where's the plaster? Where's the plaster? Ooh, where's the plaster? Get the plaster. Ooh. Mental cases. They're just like pecking me. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave you to it. I've got things to do. So until next time, speak soon. Ooh, focus, focus. Ooh. This camera's so good, I'm going to have to start cleaning my nails. Okay guys, speak soon.